That must be so irritating.
This may be one of the most major problems.
Yeah.
Many Japanese don't want to stick out from the group.
So if one person causes a problem, it's going to be everyone's responsibility. Minasan konnichiwa, and welcome to Let's Ask Shogo. It's me, Shogo, and I have Kazu, Tomoko, and Harumi. Yay, thank you so much. And also Nagi too, by the way. Alright. So guys, one of the questions I received the most through the DMs and comments is, I really want to move to Japan, but first of all, is it worth it? What are the things we should look out for? And I originally intended on making such a video, talking about the reasons why you should or should not move to Japan. But as I was making the video, I really realized that all of the things that I explain are from a Japanese person living in Japan perspective. Yeah, it's really hard to explain the differences because I've never lived in every single country around the world, right? So today, I thought it might be more informative for you if we could actually react to a video made by Paolo-san again. Paolo fromTokyo-san
Paolo fromTokyo.
Yeah, he made a video talking about the reasons why you should not move to Japan. And I'm pretty sure he grew up in the States, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure his points of views are completely different from ours. Kazu and I did grow up in the US for a while, but we are mainly Japanese, so we don't understand everything, all the differences in the cultures and such, so we would love to learn from his video as well. In this channel, we'll be reacting to videos and topics related to Japanese history and culture. So learners and lovers of Japanese language and culture, be sure to subscribe to enjoy more content. それでは早速動画を見てまいりましょう。よろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
Let's get started. So then, let's start taking a look at the video.
Number one, homes are small and expensive. Well, it's kind of true that homes in Japan are a little bit small, especially when compared to Western homes. But it's important to understand that in densely populated cities like Tokyo, space is limited, and the limiting factor would be rent. For example, a 1DK apartment, meaning one room, dining, and kitchen area, about 25 to 30 square meters in Tokyo's 23 wards, would be on average about $780 per month. That's $780 in US measurements. That would be about $780 for 270 to 320 square meters. On top of that, you may be paying a 2 months deposit, 2 months key money, 1 month agent fee, plus miscellaneous fees averaging between 5.5 to 7 months of rent before you're even handed the keys to your apartment. And for some foreigners, that's just too much to be paying for that size of apartment.
Okay, let's stop it there once for number one. This is completely true.
Yes, here it says the average in Tokyo, 23 wards. And I think for the 23 wards, the area is quite large, right? So I think the bottom rate and the top rate are really different.
That is right. That's right.
The average is about 80,000 yen. The top is going to be like, I don't know, maybe like 12 or
it could go up a lot.
Maybe,
It could be really expensive. That's right. Like the house that we used to live in before this house, it was 2DK. There's an extra room, and it was cheaper than that actually. So you can understand how it's really expensive in Tokyo. But in a way though, if you look at the brighter side, living in a smaller room is sometimes really comfortable too.
I guess.
Exactly. Kind of be a minimalist almost.
You don't need like unnecessary space.
Exactly. So like if you're gonna be like living in Japan for a short amount of time, it could be a fun experience. I guess. And I think that a lot of people say that it's because Japan is a really small country and the land is limited. Japan isn't such a big country in the first place, but also the population is really big.
That's right. It's so dense.
Exactly. We often talk about, Japan's population is declining. Oh no, the society is, getting weaker and everything. But it's still number 11th in the world for how big the population is. So that's the reason why it's so dense and so many people are living in, apartments, with small rooms and such. So that's the reason why.
Number 2, clothing sizes too
Clothing.
small. Not only do some foreigners
Clothing.
complain about apartments being too small, they
I've
also
never
complain
considered this
about
before.
clothing. Obviously, many Japanese clothing stores market to Japanese people
course,
who
yeah.
are on average relatively smaller in stature when compared to foreigners. So when larger foreigners try to find larger sizes in Japan, it's usually unavailable. But you may get lucky with a few select stores, and there are big and tall stores that cater to larger
I've seen
size
these too.
people, but usually they're not as fashionable. Interestingly,
Not
it's
as
easier to
fashionable.
find helmet sizes.
Really?
In fact, I got this one last year. I was pleasantly surprised that Japanese helmets are sized larger than what I was used to in the US.
no.
For
That's
example,
interesting.
in Japan, a small size helmet is equivalent to a US large
really?
size.
Why?
Go figure. Anyway, if you're a larger size
That's
foreigner,
super
then
happy
be
trends.
prepared.
Okay, let's stop it there too. Number 2. Wow, see, these are the things that I would definitely not think
Yeah,
of if I
yeah.
try to make a video on my own. Yeah, I think the average height of a Japanese man would be about 170 centimeters, 175.
Yeah, 75
Yeah.
ish.
So I guess it would be very small.
Really small compared to foreigners. Yeah.
But the thing that I was a little bit curious about is that couldn't you though find bigger clothes simply like on Amazon recently though?
Maybe it's like the thing where the foreign country, like for example, the States doesn't export to Japan. I guess you have lesser options is the true point.
Oh, that is definitely
Yeah.
true. Yeah, even if you could buy it online, the options, as
Yeah,
you're saying,
yeah.
not as fashionable. Right? Yeah. And the helmet thing too.
Oh, that was
That's
surprising.
really surprising, I guess. Yeah.
So we're small but have big heads. Like those bobbleheads, you know.
Small,
Super
that huge.
Yeah.
That huge. I guess we're all like this then, you know, with the huge helmets. This is something I've never heard of before myself either.
Number 4, too much paperwork.
Okay.
Although Japan has gotten a little bit better over the last few years, Japan is still notorious for paper pushing,
Yep.
especially when it comes to
Oh, yeah.
official registration forms such as with the local city hall, creating a bank account, and even signing up for home internet connection.
Everything.
A lot of it must be done in person or submitted via post, as paper documents need to be officially signed or Hanko stamped.
stamped.
Basically, Japan still hasn't caught up to the digital age yet.
That is so
true.
And the reason why we've talked about this so many times in the past,
Yeah.
Japan is a super aging society.
Yes.
The world's leading old country. Yeah.
Don't like change.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because simply like imagine like our grandparents, absolutely, maybe even our parents are like submitting important paperwork on a smartphone. No, that's not how it should be done. How could you trust this phone to do such important paperwork?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
That's what their reaction would probably be. Yeah, that's the thing. You know, everyone's just can't trust electronic versions of it yet.
I think one thing is that it's not they can't trust electronics, but they trust things in person too much.
Oh,
In-person
okay.
contact too much.
That is one way to explain it too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, one thing I heard was recently is, you know, PewDiePie.
Oh yeah.
The YouTuber, the really, really famous YouTuber that
Most famous, yeah.
moved to Japan, right? Recently. He was talking in one of his vlog videos that when he was making the bank accounts and stuff, he has this whole huge binder that has every single paper of him inside. He got that and went to the bank to create a bank account, and still he didn't have enough paper. Like this is everything he had, and still that wasn't enough. So he was having a hard time making a banking account.
I bet it's even more difficult for people outside of Japan. to do
Yeah,
it.
he was making a whole video just about that.
I bet so. I'm pretty sure I have to fight through a lot, but I hope you can fight through it.
Fight through PewDiePie.
PewDiePie, you can do this.
Number 5, Japanese forms are not foreigner friendly.
Oh,
so when
okay.
some foreigners
Okay.
finally start filling out bank forms or any other forms in general, then they soon find out that some of the forms don't have enough boxes to fill out their name, especially if they have a
Okay. I can
longer
imagine.
name, and even worse,
Yeah.
if they have a middle name. See, Japanese don't have middle names, and they're usually only a few characters long.
Yeah.
So when
This is
Japanese
something
created their
again
forms,
you would
they
not
never
realize.
anticipated providing
Yeah, this is
enough
what
space for
happens,
foreigners,
yeah,
which
yeah.
creates a lot of problems down the line, especially when foreigners are trying to make transactions. The other party can't verify who the foreigner is because their half-written down bank name doesn't match their government-issued ID. Furthermore, as many businesses have moved online, you'll find the same issue with online forms that require you to enter Japanese characters for your name, or again, not having enough boxes to fill out your full name. It's a real headache for some foreigners, and it
Oh
lasts
my
their
God.
entire stay here in Japan.
True.
That must be so irritating.
This may be one of the most major problems.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Growing up in Japan as a Japanese person, this is a problem that you wouldn't face usually.
Definitely you won't.
Yeah. So this was really interesting for me too. But he actually showed us a real, piece of paperwork.
Right?
Yeah, for making a bank account, I think it says here. 口座利用申し込み. And yeah, you usually do have these boxes that you have to write down the alphabets of your name.
Yeah, true.
And if you have such a long name, you won't be able to put it in. And as he was explaining, the problem is, for example, why don't you just, not write your middle name then, for example?
Yeah.
If you do that, if it's different from your, passport, or stuff like that you have, and it doesn't match perfectly, you won't be able to make a bank account.
Oh my god, that's such a huge problem.
Yeah, exactly. And this happens, he was saying, even online too. And I can imagine, like those official forms that you write, even online, they have you have to write it within this number of letters. Yeah, and sometimes even when you're Japanese, it doesn't have enough numbers or have too many numbers. Like for address too.
Yeah, that's right.
Like for where you live, if you live in an apartment that has a really long name, sometimes it doesn't fit, And there's literally no way I can submit this form because I literally live here, and that's what's written on my paper. That's what I have to write here, but it's impossible. You have to make a phone call and to explain it. But again, you need Japanese to do that. Yeah. If you can't speak fluent Japanese, this is something really difficult to explain, right? So this is definitely going to be really irritating for a lot of people, I bet. Yeah. So Harumi, you have a Chinese name, right? Officially. Yeah. Do you have any problems with this?
I have two names. So Harumi Shin Harumi. I use in Japan. I have the Chinese name too. But the name I registered in the Juminhyo is my Chinese name.
Oh, really?
Okay.
You can't register my Japanese name that I usually use.
Yeah, I bet so. Especially for Harumi because she's Chinese. She uses obviously Chinese characters to write her name, right? But Chinese characters could be written read in Japanese too. So we have a way of reading it in Japanese. So that's how we usually call Harumi and calls herself, Yeah, but you can't write that down on official paper because that's just considered a nickname almost. And not an official name because it's not registered.
I guess.
So that is another problem that happens for Harumi too. A little bit different from this, but something we wanted to share with you guys. Yeah.
Number 8, social conformity.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Okay.
surprise. Many Japanese don't want to stick out from the group. So there's a heavy social pressure to be part of the group, which is very difficult for some foreigners to accept. Take work, for example. Many Japanese offices will ask their employees to drink after work with a team. Most will attend despite not wanting to in order to avoid being an outsider. Some foreigners argue that you lose your individuality in this case. But at the same time, this type of conformity has shown some advantages as most people in Japan this year have been compliant with wearing masks. That said, foreigners who have trouble working with a group or the ones who don't notice how important it is to conform to the group may have trouble living in Japan.
That is true. This is actually not just about people from outside, but even within Japan.
Yeah, within Japanese people.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason why the suicide rate is so high in Japan, right?
Yeah.
If you can't, basically
adjust with the group,
you have a really difficult time just living everyday life. Yeah, it is really difficult. And if I can give you some historical context to why Japanese people are like this, as I will explain, there's two main reasons. One is the number of natural disasters and the island. Being an island nation, not being able to leave there, basically because there's so many volcanoes, active volcanoes, or earthquakes and typhoons, and it literally name a natural disaster, and you have everything in Japan basically, in a small package of an island. Yeah, it's all in here. Get everything in one small package. Kind of
the deluxe combo.
Deluxe combo, basically. So, yeah, exactly. And famines would happen, droughts would happen, literally everything would happen in Japan. So, from ancient times, people needed to work really in strong bonds with groups.
Survive within the group together.
Exactly. And when you have this one person that's not trying to cooperate or work together, that person is going to be a big problem, risk to the whole community in natural disasters and such situations. So they would kick those people out of the community. You're leaving. You know, you're going to be a big problem for us, a risk for us when something happens. You're out. So people try to, you know, say, I'm not a trouble to you guys. You know, I'm a good person. Please let me stay. Please let me stay. You know, that kind of stuff. And number 2 is also the Edo period. The system during the Edo period. This is something I haven't been able to talk so much in my previous videos, but basically one of the political measures that the Tokugawa shogunate did to control the people was making the smallest unit among the people their family. Individuals did not exist during the Edo period. The smallest unit was a family or a company or a business. So if one person causes a problem, it's going to be everyone's responsibility. Everyone's going to be blamed for a crime one person caused. And then everyone tried to be quiet, not say anything.
Smart way of suppression.
No, exactly. The Tokugawa family were really smart. So they understood the original trait of Japanese people and added this political measure to it. And we still carry that on. But at the same time, I do want to say though, is that recently there are a lot of ways to work on your own. Like becoming a freelancer, getting jobs on the internet and such. So there are ways to live on your own too.
I guess,
Yeah, because that's exactly what we are doing. We don't meet anyone else, you know. We're going to have to conform with any seniors or senpais, you know.
Or do we?
You know, beating Kazu up behind the camera. So there are options. It might be hard, but there are options for you to survive. So if you really can't live with the group, there are options for you to run away from it. So yeah, that's one thing I wanted to advise to people watching this video. What do you think, Kazu, about this?
I mean, if you're going to like work at a company with several people, your bosses, your seniors, there are gonna be these drinking after work kind of thing, nomikai, enkai stuff. So yeah, you're gonna have to deal with those kind of things.
That's right.
And if you're comfortable with that, that's going to be perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, there are good companies in
Japan
Japan
of course
too.
there are good companies.
I
I guess for just some individuals, it might be a little bit tough. So yeah, I guess you have to like try to find a good place that you can you can be 100% comfortable with.
And it might be just a little bit more difficult than I guess outside of Japan. Within Japan, it's just a little bit more difficult to find comfortable, relaxed space where you can be yourself.
Number 9, weak drugs. Some foreigners will claim that over-the-counter Japanese pain medication is not as strong as their home country. But from my experience, it's probably more an issue with dosage than strength. For example, take this box of Japanese ibuprofen. Each pill is 200 milligrams, and it says take 1 capsule every 4+ hours up to a max of 3 capsules in 1 day. While this US bottle of ibuprofen also has 200 milligram capsules, and it says take 1 capsule every 4 to 6 hours. But if the pain or fever is not reduced, 2 capsules may be used, up to 6 capsules in 24 hours. So in general, Japanese medicines prescribe lower dosages than what some foreigners may be used to. But there may be an argument for over-the-counter pain medication in Japan to be more expensive. This 240 capsule ibuprofen bottle from the US costs about $15, and this 24 capsule ibuprofen box from Japan costs about $14. So in general though, comparing prices in Japan to other countries like the US, Japan is usually more expensive. So if you're gonna live here, you just gotta get used to the prices.
Okay. Wow, this is again another thing that you would definitely not notice if you're living just in Japan. Well, one thing about the strength of the medicine that we're talking about, I think this is definitely related to again how big Japanese people are.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, with the physical traits.
Physical traits would be completely different. Because a person has 190 centimeters tall, a person who's like 160 centimeters tall, take the same medicine, it'll be completely different. So you would usually make it for the average height of the person in that country, right? So considering how big your body is, how tall you are and such, I think that would be the difference in how much you're described of the medicine, prescribed of it. So I think that would be the first thing that would come to my mind. And not just these kind of medicine, but I was talking with at a barber shop. He was saying that the medicine used to dye hair is much stronger outside of Japan.
Oh, really?
Like especially in the US, it's like 10 to 20 times stronger.
That strong?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
But it does too much damage to the scalp and everything, to your hair. So in Japan, it's much weaker. So it takes a lot of time to dye your hair.
Even with that weakness, it still like damages your. I hear that it still damages your scalp a lot.
Exactly. So it's much weaker in Japan.
Okay.
But again, this might be related to not just how big your body is, but again, it might be to the age of Japanese people too.
Okay.
Like
I
you
thought
take
you were gonna
strong.
say at a period.
No. The medicine in Japan today are very weak because
This
they're in the Edo
also
period.
dates back to the Edo period. With the
No
Tokugawa
more Edo
family.
and their political measures.
Restricting medicine.
no Tokugawa Shogun. No.
Sorry.
It's probably because a lot of people are old too. Because
I guess, yeah.
you know, I mean, children and adults use different medicine,
Yes.
but adults are from 20 something to 90, 100.
100.
Yeah, all those people be included adults, right? And then again, not just average height and weight, but maybe average age too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the amount of what medicine, how strong it is too. Yeah, exactly. So that might be another thing.
Yeah, true.
Exactly. And about the price though, we're not 100% sure why the price is so different.
I mean, I've never bought medication outside of Japan, so I don't know like
Same here.
The regular price of stuff.
But if you're used to this, I'm pretty sure this would
This is gonna be unbelievable. Like, oh my god, what?
This
$14 for 24?
24 capsules. This small box here. You'd probably be really surprised, probably. Yeah. But for us, we don't know though the reason why.
I think one thing is国民皆保険 insurance. When we have fever or something, we easily can go to hospital.
Yeah.
And it's really cheap.
Yeah.
And I heard that in the US or in a foreign country, basically you don't go to hospital unless it's like emergency.
Yes, that's true. That's
Okay,
true.
okay.
So maybe you will buy the medicine inside the house and you will.
Maybe.
So you need larger portions.
Yeah.
Because medication in hospitals, you get insurance for that. But from drugstores, there's no insurance, right?
Exactly. It's
Yeah,
simply
true.
more expensive.
More expensive.
So
Yeah,
it's
that is
easier to go to a hospital.
That is true in Japan.
Interesting. So mix together all these
lot of
elements.
things.
Yeah, and that leads to the expensive medication. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And number 10, late releases. When it comes to
Late
overseas
releases.
products such as technology, apparel, and even movies, it usually
Yes.
comes to Japan months, sometimes years after its
definitely
original
movies.
release. And a lot of times it
okay,
never
okay.
even makes it to the Japanese market.
Never
That's just
comes
how
in
it
the
is.
first place.
At the end of the day, when you live in Japan, you're just going to have to appreciate Japanese products.
The last one there was
Yes.
late releases. I think, like, I don't know, like 5-10 years ago I would have an image. But recently I feel like a lot of movies, video games and such would come out at once in the world. Especially because we have Netflix, and Amazon Prime and everything.
I think, but in recent movies, I think like one of the Avengers movies was a later release than. Like,
Oh,
in the
really? Was
States.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, just one thing about the movies that I really don't like is that you know, in Japan when the movie's actually not in theaters yet, but then like clips of the movie appear on YouTube. I hate that so much because we're not able to watch it yet. But then like little clips or like audience reactions kind of pop up on YouTube, and like, oh my god, I don't want to know the ending.
Like the ads come out.
Yeah, that's right. That's one
interesting.
thing that kind of like troubles me sometimes.
Oh,
That's really
okay,
personal though.
Yeah. But I guess this is completely personal myself too, but I'm not the kind of person who really is up to new things, you know? We're definitely the kind of people who are doing traditional stuff.
I guess,
right?
yeah.
So, and I hardly watch movies, so this is something I've never noticed.
Oh, really?
To be honest, yeah. If you're from a different country and if you have friends in your home country who are watching or using things, you know, in advance, you could just ask them to help you out.
Yeah, true.
Or about, you know, again, making a different account or just sending it to you or stuff. So you do definitely have a way to do it.
Yeah.
You get around it. So yeah, I think this wouldn't be such a big problem.
I guess
especially
not.
today. Yeah, 5-10 years ago would have been a much bigger problem, but not that much today, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching, guys. This was a lot of fun and also really educational.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. Yeah, really educational for all of us. A lot of the things we would definitely not have been able to talk about just from our own experiences and such. Yeah. But personally, then, lastly, would you actually recommend someone to live in Japan, though?
I guess I would.
Okay.
Because
For what
I generally
reasons?
love Japan so much. I don't have trouble with people, with electronics, and of course, you know, there are things that are really troublesome. But still, I guess in general, it is a country that you feel safe in. Generally, so
that is one thing.
I mean, the system is secure.
Yeah.
It is troublesome, but still the system works, right?
Yeah, exactly,
so I guess
exactly.
It is a good country
in
general.
Exactly. I do want to encourage the people who are willing to come to Japan too.
Yes.
So if I definitely introduce the brighter side of Japan, I would definitely say that's really safe too.
Yeah.
I mean, I always talk about that Japan is an aging society, so a lot of things are outdated and everything. But at the same time, because Japan is a really aged society community, it is really safe at the same time.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There are, of course, crime happening. There are a lot of problems as we introduce in our videos and such. But again, compared to other countries outside of Japan, it is much safer. Yeah. So if you have something you absolutely want to do in Japan, I would say it's worth coming to
it's
Japan
worth it.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be our last conclusion. Yeah, our last opinions that we wanted to share with you. All right. And our goal is to achieve 2 million subscribers by January 2023 at the end of this year. So it'd be great if you can help us out by subscribing and also leaving likes and comments in our videos.
Yes.
And we'll see you in our next React video. 皆さんどうもありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
Bumping into each other.
Get out of the way.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
So much, guys.